Hi, Scott here. Hope you're well. So we've had a bit of settling down after the NFP last week. A few things to talk about today, so we'll get straight into it. Nothing really exciting, but there's a few things definitely worth talking about. So let's have a look what we've got. So first one we look at is Euro Aussie. Here we are on the higher time frames, concentrating on the daily. What do we have? We have a test of this trend line on the daily chart here. Goes back quite a way. And we can see it clearly on the monthly chart as well. This is how far back the trend line goes. And we've come back and we've retested it, which we can see also on the weekly and the daily. Now, so we've come back off there, we're going short. It's coming to the daily 2050 zone. And it's now bounced off this kind of level here. Is this the level? Eyeballing it, it looks like it could be a level there. So maybe we should just make sure that is a good level, which it seems to be. Looking at the monthly, we've got quite a few touches down here, here, and maybe here as well. So go back and just do your due diligence on that line, but it looks like it's a pretty strong line. Bounced off there, then it's been kind of going sideways to up since beginning of the week. Not ideal. But it's looking like it's definitely going up to revisit this trend line. So what do we have on the lower time frames? So we are with the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and the 5 minutes. We'll zoom into the 1 hour, my favorite. And on here we can see, look a bit better. We can see that this is the low we had on the daily. And so it's been going kind of sideways, not really doing very much. What we can hope for here is a nice break and retest. Maybe go a little bit higher, come back down, retest the 4 hour, and trade the complete breakout, the CBO. We've kind of had one here. We didn't really clear the 4 hour very well. If we go back to the 4 hour chart and look at that, oops, we can see that, yeah, these breaks to the upside weren't really significant. So we need to have a nice big break up, probably above these highs, and come back down and give us a nice nice CBO, because that confirmation of a higher high and a nice clear break and retest will be letting us know that the bull market's back on for this pair, and the trade will look something like this. Of course, do your fibs. Don't just guess like I'm doing. I'll do my fibs before the time comes. Highs, you can go for these highs. Right before the trend line. Yeah, that's something that could play out. So we put it as a blue because it's kind of started. Actually, we'll leave it as it is. It started, but it's got a lot of work to do yet. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow morning. We'll see. US Swiss, what's that giving us? US Swiss, we have been moving upwards, not particularly strongly, but definitely an uptrend, heading towards these highs. And is this a significant high, a significant level? Doesn't really seem to be much here, does there? Looking back, we haven't really been there till since this point here. We'll just go back there. Nothing really there. So not necessarily a very strong level. Maybe it lines up with these highs over here. And this bit here. Not really. Kind of the wicks. This higher, these wicks. Yeah, that's probably what you're rejecting. But we're looking like we might be bullish today. Let's see what the lower time frames give us. They give us anything nice. We have it's an uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. We have a trend line, which seems reasonable. We were looking at a pip snatcher, a 1-to-1. Enter around the pivot, stop just below the R1, take profit around before the S1, get a 1-to-1. What do we have? We have a dotted line on here, so we have some kind of level I found before, which is, yeah, it's around there, isn't it? Nothing really. Yeah, it looks like there's a kind of level there. We just broke it here and here, touching it there. So that's a bit questionable. You really want to have your take profit before that line, before these highs, which will mean either stop clipping or entering just below the pivot, which is not really ideal. Because entering below the pivot means the pivot, daily pivot here may act as resistance and reverse off of it. So the only way really is to do a stop clip. So it's not looking ideal. Let's look at our fibs. I like to look at my fib, not my fibs, sorry, my MACD. And we'll be going clearly higher, higher, higher. MACD clearly higher, then the same level, then a little bit higher. So the MACD is not looking particularly great. It's not really broken, but if you do, well, yeah, just the way it's going sideways, just slightly up, whereas we've got reasonably higher highs here. I'll put that down as a secondary. Not that keen on it. Must be better options today. We're going to go for the best trades we can, right? Okay, Kiwi Swiss on the daily. Rejecting this line, this level here, which goes back to being these a support level back here and here. Hasn't really been here much since then. If we go back to this part on the monthly, is that a level? Not really. Let's go straight to the middle of it all. So mainly because of these touches here and here, recent touches, bounce, 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 breakthrough, and retesting on the way up. So it looks like we're going to probably go lower here. It hasn't broken through. It's tried for the last few days. It hasn't got through. Let's see if we have anything on the lower time frame. Before that, we'll just quickly look at the weekly. We can see we've hit the daily, so the weekly 20 in the weekly 20-50 zone. So it could be a good place to carry on going lower. So lower time frames. We have, what do we have? We've got a level here, which seems to be pretty good. 2 touches. And we have a trend line here. That gives us an ABO. Advanced breakout. So we want to be going ABO short. We'll need, first thing, a few criteria we need. First thing is to prove that this level here is really significant. And on a daily, it hasn't had much until, actually it's this level here, isn't it? Yeah, really through that. Let's have okay. So we haven't really had much until recently, but here we've had 1, 2, maybe 3 rejections. Is it strong enough for an ABO? Yeah, questionable. It needs to be a really good ABO, I think. We certainly want 3 touches. We need this to come back up and retest it, reject it. And then we've had this trend line has proven to be a good triangle, form a good triangle. So strong retest of this level, enter on a 5-minute 50 break and short, and then trade that short, and then we'll have a trade entering around here somewhere, stop just above those highs, and there's a 4-hour 50, we need a 2-to-1, so maybe the entry will be about here somewhere. 2-to-1 before our 4-hour 50. That could be a nice little IBO. Keep an eye on that one. Let's pull back first. Pull back further to confirm this resistance level. Yeah. Okay, so Kiwi Swiss, that looks okay. Certainly worth watching. Kiwi Yen. Again, we've got a very strong this time. 1, 2, break it there. This is the 3rd time, 4th time it's rejecting this level. bearish candle yesterday, so it looks like we might be going short. What do we have here? Do we have an ABO forming? It's not really. There's a kind of level here, but it's not that great, and also we don't have a nice triangle, so no IBO here, but we do have a possible IBO. So with a break and a retest of the 1 hour 50, if it did break down to about here somewhere, pull back for a nice retest, nice little gap in between. IBO, A, B or C, it's certainly not C, we haven't reached 4 hour 50 yet. IBO A or B. Do we have a confirmed trend change? We have, if anything, that's a higher high. And we don't even have a lower low. We will have a lower low down here, forming the IBO. 4 hour chart might give us a bit more. There's no higher low, sorry, a lower high on the 4 hour chart either. So IBO B it is. IBO B, so a little bit more risky. This level here. It's be okay. So right, so we've got an IBO B, waiting for this break and retest the 1 hour 50, enter the 382 and my fib. My fib is just a guess of how far down it will go. So that when it comes back, the 382 will line up with the 1 hour 50. We'll see how that forms. Top of the fib with these highs. That looks like it could be a nice little trade. It sets up. Key dollar. Here we have another stalling at a resistance level. This one again is, oh, it's actually looking back here on the monthly chart. There's some levels there. Is anything? Not really, not really, not really. But it does actually look good on the monthly chart. So we've got a rejection of that level twice on the monthly chart. So that's reasonable. There's not much action down this low, so not much to go with. But we do have a bounce through the daily 50, through up towards this level, and then a doji-ish kind of candle yesterday. So definitely stalling at this level. It's also reached the weekly 20, which rejected that. So it could be significant. So we're looking for a short. Is it going to be a short just pull back to the daily 50, or are we going to pull back and continue our downtrend and go straight through the daily 50? Well, that depends. If you were convinced this was a strong level and this was going to go short from here, then make the divergence on the weekly, daily. There's a MACD divergence from back here to here, but from here onwards it seems to be okay. So you could take that as a swing trade and trade through the daily 50. Obviously comes with high risk to be trading through the daily 50, but a swing trade will give you that potential to go down to these lows. Looking for a short day trade back down to the daily 50. What do we have here? We've got a possible pitch snatcher long. We've already seen we've reached what seems to be a resistance level. So trading back up to that is very risky. Check on the MACDs. MACD divergence, pretty strong. I've ignored this high because of the gap down. It kind of messed up the MACD a bit. But from the start of the week, trending higher clearly. And we've got much lower on the MACD. So it's a MACD divergence, so we're going to probably head down. Will it give us an entry and go to 1%? Maybe. You want to take that risk? I wouldn't take that risk personally. But what we could be looking for here is a breakdown and then jump on the 1 hour 50 break and retest. For an entry short down here, down to the 4 hour 50 and the daily 50, which is my green line. Blue line for the 4 hour 50, green line for the daily 50. So that could give a nice little short trade. So I wouldn't recommend a pip snatcher, but going short, give it time to develop, maybe later today, or maybe it'll be tomorrow morning. Give USD, yeah, any time with that. Any session's good. Okay, so that's something to look forward to. The last one we look at is setting up right now is dollar yen. It's been kind of doing an ABC correction, putting it back to the daily 50. Have a bit of room still. If the lower time frames give us a nice little trade. So we do have looking like a pip snatcher on for here. We've got a pip snatcher, 1-to-1. Trend line here looks pretty good. Got 3 touches, and that'll protect. It's following the hourly 50, which is good. So it pulls back here soon. Come back, reject the hourly 50, entry around the pivot or just after, just below, and that could be a quick 1-to-1 trade. That looks good. So let's try and disqualify it. MACD. Okay, MACD, we're going lower, lower, lower on the price action. From here to here, we've gone lower, but from here to here, from this, I've actually got a gap in there as well. That's a gap on the open. So, yeah, so I would disregard this one because of that gap. That's going to give us a misreading on this MACD. So from this point onwards, from the beginning of the week, we've had lower and lower highs. Lower lows, sorry, and we're getting lower lows on the MACD as well. So the MACD is looking good. So that is for me, that's a nice looking pip snatcher. If it pulls back in the next 2 or 3 hours, dollar yen, any time of day, that can pull back and give an edge of a quick 1-to-1 pip snatcher. It's not really a whole lot to go on there, but there's a few things that may line up later today or possibly tomorrow. First, we've got Aussie CAD. So we've come back and rejected the daily 50 quite nicely yesterday. It was kind of decelerating, although it's hard to see because of the gap down on the open on Monday. But we do have a deceleration reversal candle there. That's a doji high test. And it's looking like we could be going short today. So what do we have on the hourly chart? We have almost rejected the daily 50, just missed it, very close, good enough. And do we have a MACD? MACD divergence. I'm ignoring that one because of the gap, but from here to here, we're going here down to here. So a lower high on the MACD divergence, pointing to lower prices ahead. That's looking good. So what we're waiting for now is a break of the 1 hour 50. And probably there will be a break of the 4 hour 50 as well. Maybe down here somewhere. Give a pullback to the 4 hour 50, which the 1 hour 50 will then have called up, probably. And be a nice little CBO. So if it takes a little bit longer for IBOC, if it doesn't give a nice CBO 4 hour break and retest. But there's some options there for Aussie CAD. That looks like quite a nice short trade down to the lows. And if it's an CBO, of course, we go just behind the 618. If it's an IBO, then we go behind 75. Keep an eye on that one. It's quite nice. Aussie Kiwi. So this had a big tear to the downside, and then it been kind of stalling here, decelerated for quite a while, not really showing any positive momentum yet. Do we have any triangles? We kind of do have a triangle here, don't we? Which is just breaking out now. Let's have a look at the level. Right. So what do we have here? Downtrend broken. This trend line clear break, 1 hour 50 broken, and then since then it's been going sideways. So this level seems to be pretty strong. It's not really good enough for an ABO because we need to see clear breakdown and retest and breakdown and retest. Unless we can put this up here, maybe. Maybe that's a bit of a messy one, but that kind of qualifies it for an ABO. It's a pretty strong line. Broke it a bit there, but here it's rejected it. There it's tested it, and a low test. That's probably good enough for an ABO. If you're convinced this level is a strong one on the daily as well. So let's have a look. Is this level major? Well, it goes through a ton of stuff. We have to go back quite a way though to see anything significant. Pretty much testing it here and here. What else do we have? That's too low, maybe here. Right. Just about touching it there, testing it there, resting on it quite well there, so acting as support. Back here, not really anything, and back there, not really anything. And back here, not really, almost. This is almost a good level, almost touches it as a major level. I don't see anything to really convince me. But I'm quite prepared to go a long way back because sometimes you'll find there's a nice clear rejection there, rejection there, rejection here, broken retest here. Sometimes you go back a long way and you'll see a really major support level and convince yourself. This one, I think I said that one, testing it there. Testing it here, pretty strong there. Testing it here, testing it here, testing it here. Yeah, so it's really major. If you go right back to 2014, you can probably go back further to verify that, which I would do before taking the trade. That seems like a pretty good level then, right? So that could be good for an ABO. It's a bit messy, as I said, because there's break here, but these low tests are showing that this is a strong level because it closed above it. So we need to have 3, test 1, test 1, test 2, test 2, test 3 with that low test there, and then test 3 and break through. So in theory, we could have already entered this as on the 5-minute break. You guys have 5-minute chart, and here's the volume. So this is the volume last night, pretty major, as it came down to these lows. This is the zero almost volume early hours for me at the close, and now since then the volume's really picked up this morning. Above this blue line is the average volume for the day. So it's above the average volume, and that's in an Asia session, so that's pretty significant. So lots of people are buying and selling at this level, and the entry could have been, let's kind of break it out a little bit. Once we had that rejection here, the entry could have been here on the 5-minute break. So you need to do that, stop. Ideally go right below here, although, yeah, probably where to go. Let's go back to our hourly chart. And we can see, if you look at our 4-hour 50, we should have 2 to 1 to our 4-hour 50. So we are stop clipping these wicks and these lows, that's fine. And we've got 2.25, that's the 4-hour 50. So that could have been an ABO entry there we had earlier today. Yeah, so that's an ABO, missed that one. But I just thought I'd show you it because it's quite a nice, it's an interesting strategy to use. And apart from that, we'll wait now. We've had the IBO, well, another IBO here, but this trend line was acting as resistance. We've broken through it. Maybe now we get a nice little IBO. A discretionary one, because we've already had our initial breakout, but now the trend line has been broken. That gives us a nice little IBO there, or we wait for a break of a 4-hour, 50, and a retest and get a CBO. That's quite a lot of talking there, but there's a few things to talk about on that price action. Right, Aussie US dollar, Aussie dollar, deceleration, rejection of the daily 50. This is a level. If we go back to here, maybe. Not really. Does it go back any further? Oh, yeah. Is it a level? Kind of, not really. Over here. Right. So that's not particularly strong level, but it's definitely a level that's been respected recently. There, and yesterday. So we're looking for a short trade today or soon. And projecting the daily 50, as we can see, 1 hour 50 is right up here. We should get a break of the 1 hour 50, pull back, retest. That can give us a nice little IBO short. Look at CAD Swiss. This was an interesting one. We've got a downward arrow, even though we're above the daily 50. Now, the reason for that is, on the daily chart, we are looking like break of the daily 50, retest, maybe going long. But this is why it's always important to look at other time frames. Look at the weekly. We can see we've pulled up to the weekly 50 and the weekly 20. Done a beautiful high test last week, and now we are rejecting it and going short. So maybe we're going for short. And on the monthly, we also had a break through the monthly 50. Last month was a pullback to the monthly 50, and then this month we're sitting just below it. So this could be a short trade. If you're a swing trader and you're always looking at the higher time frames only, this would be a good option, and that would have been a swing trade entry yesterday. After this high test was formed, you could enter this as a short trade. Just below, lows there, stop just above, lows there. Get down to there, what that gives? 2.8%. Take a while to play out. That looks okay. So, and of course you are trading through the daily 50, so that's always a bit of a higher risk. But I just thought I'd show that to you, because sometimes we've got to look to the higher time frames to get a perspective of where we're at. From a lower time frame point of view, we're looking for a long. The higher time frames would put me off doing that. A long trade, nothing really on offer here. The only thing we could have is a possible CBO setting up from here, up here, back, and long. Should that set up? Doesn't matter now because that swing trade's already gone. Anyway, so if that's this set up, that could give us an idea that we're going long, but the higher time frames would suggest that that's not going to happen. Okay, Kiwi CAD. That's what we look at. Another major level. The reason I call it major is because of this test here on the monthly. This will go all the way down and test this level and then rejects it strongly. And all it is a wick. It's just a wick on that day. But we are rejecting that level. So, like it could be going short to the daily 50. Again, we've had a rejection of the daily 20, but this one, so the weekly 20, but this is not quite as significant as the last one we looked at. Right, so looking for a short trade. A nice little doji-ish candle yesterday. It's just no rejection is going to happen. Let's look for MACD for confirmation. of a trend change. It looks like we've got a much lower high on the MACD divergence from this high to this high, suggesting we are going to get a trend change. We have a nice little trend line, which we are now testing right now. Should we break that, come down, I have to go that low, will it? Maybe down there in the next day, maybe later today. Later today, if we get rejection, pullback, rejection of the hourly 50, and we can take that short either to the 4-hour 50 or push it a little bit further. So that looks like it could be quite a nice trade for later on. Okay. My video is not working. Interesting. Anyway, okay, that's what I have for you. So there's a few things to look at. Nothing that exciting today, but nevertheless, a few things to keep an eye on. And hopefully something will play out for you. Hope your trading week is going well. Stick with it. Stick with your plan. Always follow your trading plan. Stick with your rules, and most of all, just keep improving. Keep improving, and aiming for that goal of 5% per month consistently. Your life will change forever. All right, nice speaking to you. I'll catch you tomorrow. All the best. See ya.